guys can be husky, and a female such as your stature, you can get places with these husky. I don't know what you call them, but these husky men, these husky men cannot go, and you can make sure the inspection is complete. We might say.
Yes.
You would agree.
Be Nice Individuals Podcast.
Hey folks, this is Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals Podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice podcast studio. We have a very special guest in studio. It's different from what you would think for normal home inspectors. It is actually really cool. We were just talking about it off camera. Antoinette from Home Team Inspection Service. It's really cool because she's a female. But first, Antoinette, how you doing today?
I am good, Thaddeus. Thank you.
Yeah. So we were just talking off camera. You're a female, which is apparently uncommon in your industry. How many females would you say that you know personally that are in your industry?
Locally, zero.
Zero. Just you.
Just me.
Yeah.
I've heard stories where somebody knows somebody who used to work a desk or something.
So you're saying like a Bigfoot story.
It's not quite that bad. Like Home Team is a national company.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obviously I own the Palm Coast location, and so it's individually owned and operated locally, but as far as Home Team across the country, there is two others.
Two others? Well, that's cool though. That's cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, we were talking off camera. Look, guys can be husky. and a female such as your stature, you can get places with these husky, I don't know what you call them, but these husky men, these husky men cannot go, and you can make sure the inspection is complete, we might say.
Yes.
You would agree with that?
Yes. I mean, in general, it was one of those that there's no reason a female can't do the home inspection. The heaviest thing we carry is a ladder, so as long as you could carry a ladder, it just has to do with how well you do the inspection. But size definitely matters. I mean, when you have to go up a ladder, or some of these roofs and attics in Florida, it could get really tight. Mm-hmm. And if you're not small or limber, you're not getting in there, and then you're not doing a thorough inspection or giving them whatever credits that they could get on insurance. Yeah,
you were saying off camera that sometimes there'll be inspectors that just say not accessible.
Yeah. For
certain areas that they can't get to.
Yeah, that's a valid reason for not going into an attic. Could not access, unaccessible.
Yeah.
So what's inaccessible to them, I might be able to get into quite easily.
She can go anywhere. Yeah. And it's important because obviously you do the inspections yourself.
Correct.
That's incredible. I love that because I didn't know when I met you, because you're all nice and feminine, and you have all you're always dressed up, right? And I'm like, is she doing the inspections herself, or is she sending somebody else to do them? But you do them yourself.
I do.
That's cool.
I mean, I have other people in my organization as well, but I'm a lead inspector, go on inspections. I don't leave every inspection all prim and proper, especially after, being in an attic in July in Florida.
Oh, man. Well, bless you for doing that, because July in Florida, very hot. In the attic?
Yes.
Okay.
It's bad when your iPad just goes shutting down.
Wait. The iPad shuts down? It's like, we're going to go ahead and check out. You can go ahead and do the inspection if you want to, but it's too hot for us to operate.
It does that. And I've talked to other home inspectors across the country. They're like, we don't get that. I'm like, you're not in Florida. So I always have a spare, like, in a cool spot that I can, change out and let one rest.
Now, Florida, we deal with a number of things when it comes to insurance. Oh, the insurance industry. Now, do you do everything that an insurance company might need, such as like 4-point win inspections? Did I say it right? Yeah, so basically the two common insurance inspections is a 4-point and a wind mitt. Mm-hmm. So unless you're buying like brand new construction, you're probably going to need a 4-point. Or if you're changing inspections, most want a 4-point. They're only good for a year. Oh, okay.
And what the 4 points are electrical, HVAC, plumbing, and roof. And it's a specific state form that you need to fill out, and as an insurance requirement that they could give to their carrier. And then for the wind mit, that's more of a voluntary thing.
Okay.
So being we're in Florida, insurance rates are quite high, and a lot of that has to
You're
do
not lying.
No. So kind of as a little present to homeowners, they have wind mitigation. So what that is depending how well that your house would do against a storm, you get credits off your insurance. So that's what a wind mitigation is. There's several categories, and you could qualify for all of them, none of them, one of them. But a lot of times, as long as you have one, it'll more than pay for itself in the cost of the wind mitigation inspection.
I'm thinking about how you can mitigate the wind. Do you have to have a bunch of like tall trees? Tell me.
No, so it's actually quite interesting. So like if you're dealing with a structure and let's say all 4 sides are open, the wind can pass through it, no problem.
Yeah.
Now if it's, let's say, like a shed and all 4 sides are closed, again, the wind goes around it, whatever.
Okay.
So what happens when you start adding openings like windows and doors, like most people have in homes, all of a sudden now it becomes a problem, because if the wind can get into one, then it could build up and like blow off the roof, or you'll have all sorts of issues. So the way the wind mitigation is set up, it has to do with what shape your roof is, what age and building standards that the house was built under. If you have opening protection with windows or garage doors, skylights. Again, if you have all hurricane windows except for one, you miss the credit.
Oh, I see.
Because again, as long as it could get into one window, you need it on all protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like what you're telling me, what I need is a compound. I need a house with no windows and no doors.
It would get very depressing. Right?
No, but I've always wanted, like, again, I'm a little out there.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted something really solid, especially now I'm here in Florida. I'm like, I don't want something of a house that just be blown over by some hurricane winds. I don't know.
Where you get the big bad wolf where it's like a huff and a puff. Blow your house down.
Yeah. Now we got to back up. I got to understand. I love that you're in the industry. What got you into it? Because you are very feminine. I love it. What got you into it, though? Tell me.
I'll give you the 30-second version or
okay.
whatever. I actually own a design company, and I was working at my desk, and there was a lot of things going on. The design, big agencies were going from 300 people to 30, and because the digital was taking off. So I was still doing really well, but I was like, I do want to kind of be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
So, and I really, when I first started in design, it was a lot more walking around and doing things, and now I was kind of stuck at my desk. So I did want to do something that got me out of the desk. Yeah. And I actually hired a business coach who did a whole personality assessment and skill assessment. And I've always been very into home building and renovating. And my parents owned tons of apartment buildings. So as a kid, like when I'm 9 years old, I'm redoing electrical outlets. Well, so it is a whole knowledge base I had. And I originally thought I was going to be an architect.
Wow.
Because that's also design and houses into
that's
one.
Cool.
And then my brother went into architecture, so I was like,
So you could have 2 people in the family and an architect.
No, so when she came back, the business coach, and she presented 3 different business ideas. And as soon as she said home inspector, it was like a light bulb went on. It was I was like, oh my God, I would love that. Yeah. And more importantly, I know I can do it well. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you were doing all this stuff when you were 9 years old. So it's almost like you hired this person and they rediscovered who you already were, so to speak. Were you building full-on houses, or what were you doing?
Like my parents had this huge apartment building that had 42 apartments.
That's a lot of apartments.
Yeah. And then after that, they ended up buying 16 apartment buildings that were 4 units each. So there was always something to do, something to check. So I got really familiar with house systems, what to look for, how to diagnose problems, common things that people do when they're, moving out to disguise problems. Like it really is.
Cover it with a little paint.
Yeah. And then even on the design background, you get a very good eye for what's out of place.
Yeah.
So it really is kind of a perfect marriage of my skill set.
That's awesome.
And then it's not that I was, a foreman at a design company, but
Sure.
I mean at a construction company, but I have been around construction before. I've renovated houses top to bottom plenty of times.
Yeah.
So it is something I'm very familiar with. And it's fun. It's something I enjoy.
That's cool. Because I am not handy. I can hang a ceiling fan. I went on YouTube and I figured it out, darn it. There were people out there in the audience. I was like, but not to her level, which is fantastic. What really attracted you to a home team inspection service as... you have the franchise, yeah?
Yeah.
What attracted you to that specific company?
So, obviously when I was looking at home inspection, Home Team is really the cream of the crop. They've been around for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
They're an industry leader. And honestly, when I started looking into the model and their philosophy, it was so close to my own value system. When required reading is the go-giver and not how to make the best profit out there.
Yeah.
It's literally, they teach you how to serve your community best.
Nice.
And that is so close to my heart that I just had to come on board. It was such a good company. They're really just principled, value-driven organization. And the reason why I went with a franchise versus, just opening my own is being a business owner from the past. I knew I spent a lot of time on things that had nothing to do with my business. So what I liked is they had a system in place so I don't have to worry about, updating my website. And then the fact they have their own proprietary software. I have the latest and greatest software out there. And it's a better service to my clients, honestly. And if I ever run into, when you're looking at houses, you run into some weird stuff. And Florida's a very transient state. So you'll get someone from Alaska doing one thing to their house, someone from me.
You don't need to do that here.
Well, you know what? They're like, I did this, So sometimes you're left scratching your head, like, what were they thinking with this? But what's nice is being part of that larger organization, I have a whole network of people I could reach out to and say, hey, have you come across this? Or has anyone seen this? Where most home inspectors are sitting there Googling it.
Yeah.
And what's good about the organization is it's been around for 30 years and it's going to be around for the next 30. A lot of these other home inspectors, if it's Chuck in a truck, you don't know if he's going to be around next year.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that it's stable. We have great affiliations. We're able to give back to the community. We're one of the few home inspectors that presented at FAR, which is the Florida, Realtor Association.
Yeah.
And it was like what us and one other home inspector there were. Most of the local people just can't do it. And it's good because I'm local.
Yeah.
I get to support the community and support realtors and insurance people on all levels, not just locally, but also on a state level, on a national level, and that's really huge.
There's a couple things you said there that I want to go back to. Go Giver, fantastic book, audience out there. If you have not read it, I think I did like a trial or something with Amazon. I like to listen to my books.
Yeah.
I like to listen to them. So I listened to it. Fantastic book. It's about giving and using that as a means to enrich others, and in turn, you will be enriched as well. Now, also, you were talking... Go ahead.
To interject, even Home Team in general has a summit every year where all the owners come together and we learn from each other and all that. And Bob Berg, the writer of that book, he actually presented my first...
Nice.
Yeah, so they really talk the talk and walk the walk.
Nice.
I mean, it's amazing. It really is.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I dig that. So you got Go Givers is like the foundation of the core of who you guys are. Fantastic. First off, that's a good principle. And secondly, if we're talking like a franchise, I feel like a franchise is like a cheat code. Here's what I mean. So if you just go out there, you create your own business, you're going to have those bumps in the road and you're going to have to figure it out, versus you being part of like a network of other industry people, you might say, people that are in the industry, all under the same umbrella of Home Team Inspection Service. You're able to glean from them.
Oh, definitely.
It's a cheat code. I love it.
I mean, that was definitely one of the compelling reasons to join as well, because I was switching industries. I was going from design to being a home inspector, and although I had all the knowledge, I don't know how to market a home inspection company.
Yeah.
The same way. It's not the same as a design company.
It's different.
Yeah. So it was very interesting to, again, I know how to do home inspections, but to learn about how the industry works, you know, what are the best avenues, who to target, stuff like that. And then having that whole network. I mean, the other owners are so great. And what's really nice too is if I have a client, let's say there's a realtor who uses me, and then they're helping their aunt sell in Miami, you know, I can call a Home Team owner there and they're going to get the same service that they would get from me, which is, you know, a wonderful feeling too, that you could kind of refer people and it's not, you know, you're just not just throwing them to the wolves.
Yeah.
Or if I have, let's say, a huge inspection, and it's a large house or a large complex, I could call other owners to come help me out as well. You know, all hands on deck. We have, you know, so it's really nice that we support each other in that way. And yet we all run our own businesses. We all support our own individual communities. But it is nice to be part of something a little larger. And the cheat code didn't hurt.
It does not hurt. It does not hurt. So being part of this organization is going to make you a better inspector, because you're going to have that knowledge base, but you're also going to have that support, because Home Team Inspection Service, I'm assuming they want you to succeed.
Correct.
It's a given.
Yes.
Any franchise, they want you to succeed because it makes them more profitable. It makes you more profitable. Everyone sings Kumbaya together. We love it. Now, go ahead.
No, the one thing that I just want to add too is being part of that, they hold you to a higher standard than the states do. So,
really?
Yeah. So for example, there's a lot of states that they don't even require licensing for home inspectors, to me, which is crazy. I mean, Florida does.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a minimum insurance that you need to carry, and that's what most people do. They're like, I pay $85 a month, and you know, I have my insurance. I paid close to $7,000 a year in insurance, and it's because we're you know, like I said, we're held to a higher standard.
Right.
So, like for example, if I'm doing a new home inspection, there's a lot of builders that if all you have is the minimum required insurance, you're not even allowed to inspect their property.
Yeah, we ran into that issue actually when we bought our house, and it was new. We needed it inspected, and was it the HOA? Not the HOA, the builder, whatever, whoever it was, they required $1 million insurance policy.
Yeah.
And we had a hard time finding such a person to inspect our house. It wasn't easy. Yeah. So I can resonate with that 100%. Yeah. Now, the insurance part is obviously a factor in there that makes a good inspector. I believe the franchise is another thing that's a cheat code that also makes a good home inspector. Are there any other kind of things that you can think of that make you specifically, I know you're a good home inspector, but makes anyone a good home inspector?
I think the biggest thing that I hear as from other people when they complain about other home inspectors or why they prefer me is basically, I guess, what you'd call bedside manner.
Yeah.
You know, actually being able to talk to somebody where they're not condescending or nasty.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that actually takes the time to explain what the situation is.
Right.
And really kind of stays in their lane. You know, as a home inspector, you know, it's not up to me to tell somebody to buy a house or not buy a house.
Right.
It's up to me to provide non-biased information that they can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of, like I said, I heard other home inspectors where they get involved with quoting stuff. Like, you're not a roofer. Don't be quoting roofs. You know what I mean? Like, you know, something that I would do, like, for example, because, you know, occasionally you'll run into a roofer that's not on the up and up. Yeah. So if I find something, you know, let's say a hole in the roof or there's something, an issue, what I'll say is, you know, this is obviously a problem, I'll give photos, but I'll say anyone who tells you this is a new roof is lying.
Yeah,
And that's helpful. That's more helpful information than saying don't buy this or don't. And you don't need Chicken Little running around. And there's a lot of home inspectors that actually pat themselves on the back for blowing up deals. That somebody find, and if they find something so major that they decide, and to me, I'm like, that's such a disservice to your client. It's just a shame. It really is.
Plus, you got to think of the real estate association and stuff. A lot of times, people are going to their realtor to get an inspector. You know, it's like the homeowner or the soon-to-be homeowner, they've built that relationship with the realtor where they know, like, and trust them enough to be buying a house from them, right?
Yeah.
And now that realtor is their source, their plug for all these other people.
Yeah.
And so if a inspector blows up a deal, it's a good chance that realtor's not going to refer them anymore. No. Just providing that information, that's amazing. Just to provide it, and they can make their own decision. Maybe it can help with the closing costs or any other cost. Maybe it comes down as a credit. Deal could still be on. You have one other thing that I know a lot of people are wondering about.
Okay.
So you do residential. That's a given. Do you do commercial?
I do.
Tell me about it.
So the last commercial I did was a daycare in Fidel.
Yeah.
Right on Moody's.
Uh-huh.
But it's, I wouldn't say I get it, 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
You get commercial a little less, but they still have the same systems that residential have. They still need to heat and cool. They still have a roof.
Yeah.
You still want to make sure it's structurally sound.
Yeah.
And sometimes with commercial, it could get quite complicated too. Like there was one I did it was actually a church that's been abandoned for a really, really long time. That had some kind of water damage and obviously mold growing everywhere, where I think it was like a restaurateur that was looking to change it and gut it or revamp the space. And they really wanted, someone to really diagnose what was going on with it, really give a good, overall view of, where the leak came from, what's going on, how sound of a building is it, so that they can decide whether it's a good investment or not. So yeah, it's definitely a smart thing. And so many people, especially a lot of people, when they're buying a commercial or buying new, they'll forego the home inspection, and that's such a horrible thing to do. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a home inspector. You're doing yourself a disservice. It's such a large value purchase. It's usually one of the most expensive things you're going to buy. And with new inspection, they think, oh, it's new. I mean, I'll tell you, I've never...
Don't mean perfect.
I've never found a house, new or existing, that had nothing wrong with it. And with new construction, a lot of times the issues you find are actually larger because nobody's been living there.
Yeah.
And then, no one's there to realize, hey, we have no hot water in the master bath. They never ran the line.
Right.
Or a lot of times builders, they might outsource, let's say, the roof. So I went on one where the roof, they ran out of ridge tiles and started using field tiles over that. So by the time your roof starts leaking, your builder's warranty is going to expire.
Absolutely.
And that's on your dime then.
Yeah.
So it's just a smart thing. When you look at the value of a house and what, a home inspection is pennies in comparison.
Absolutely.
That just peace of mind is really invaluable.
Yeah. I say this. It's kind of like a quote. I trust people, but at the same time, I like to get another set of eyes on things.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what your service provides.
Yeah.
Especially with like new home builds, people think sometimes, oh, it's brand new. I had a neighbor that actually got an inspection. There were tiles missing. New home, but there were shingles missing. Like, everybody can have an off day. So it's better that you have somebody come out there and inspect it, and you can take care of that, obviously. Would you shout out your contact information so that the audience can get a hold of you? So if they have an older home or they have a newer home, whatever, or commercial, you do commercial as well.
Yes.
So they can get in contact with you so you can come out there and make sure that they are set.
Sure. So it's obviously home team inspection service. If you go online, you could put in your zip code. It'll give you the whatever office
Oh, okay.
is most convenient to you. But mine's actually /Palm Coast if you want to reach me directly.
Okay.
And then my office number is 386-456-3131. My email is palmcoast@hometeam.com. Yeah, I'm more than happy to, speak with anybody, answer any questions. Also, after somebody gets a home inspection, I always kind of leave the door open because a lot of times people are coming in from out of town and they may need to know who's a good plumber or who's a good this or who's a good that. And it's nice to, like I said, we're here to serve, the go-giver mentality. So it doesn't end with the home inspection.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Folks, you heard it here. Make sure you reach out to Antoinette at Home Team Inspection Service. Look, you buy a new home or an older home. I know a lot of people will waive inspections and stuff like that. You do that if you want to. But make sure you check. Check that home. Make sure that you know what you're buying. Because once the paperwork is signed, that's your problem. So, yeah, it can be residential. It can be commercial, whatever. She has a lot of experience in that space, and she can definitely help you out. Make sure you reach out to her, and she'll take it from there. Again, this has been Thaddeus and Antoinette on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice podcast studio. Again, folks, I say this to you all the time. This is your space. Come in here. You can shout out your ideas. You can shout out your business. If you're a political candidate, got a space here for you as well. Look, we have call-in features here. We have this phone here, and it's actually connected to our soundboard. What we can do with that is people can call in, and we can switch over, have them ask their questions on the air. You can answer them, be in the hot seat. It could be fun. But I'm waiting for my first political candidate to do that. We'll get them in here. But anyway, again, this has been Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals podcast. And we'll see you next time.